Hey, what's up, guys? Your boy Ash, and today we're going to be talking about the tryouts for Cloud. I know that Riser made a general video, but his video doesn't really explain all the things for each village. So today I'm just here to take this time to explain how the Cloud Village will be doing things and how can you get into the Cloud Village CC. So right now we're going to be looking because we have some people that we are going to be kicking off from CC for inactivity and stuff. So even though we might be looking at originally just 10 people to fill in spots, but with more people that are going to be kicked out because of inactivity and stuff like that, more people will be allowed to get selected. So first things first, I'm gonna go over the requirements for CC. So the first requirement that you're that you're going to need is a minimum of C2, which is the little rank thing at the top right of your thing. If you look to the top right of your leaderboard, you can see that my rank is S3. You need to be C2, which is so you would need a prestige, a total of 5 times to be able to get that rank. I know that it might be high for some of you guys, but we just kind of want to limit the people, so people who just joined the game today, even though they might be a good fit for CC, that doesn't really show us any dedication, because there is some levels of grinding for CC. We don't want people who are going to get bored of the game quickly, people who are ready to put in some work, especially for grinding your KG, since you're not going to automatically get all your KG movesets. It's more of a progression thing. So next requirement is you will need to be able to communicate in English. I'm sorry, but we currently we are not compatible with other languages other than English. English doesn't have to be your main language, but you need to be able to speak the English language. Even though not fluently, you need to be able to understand basic commands, permission to speak is whenever if the person who's holding the child tells you permission to speak is enabled, that means you need to put stuff like PTS, be able to talk at all and stuff like that. It just depends on who's hosting the trial that day, but English is a major part of the trials because all the commands will be done in English and all that. And if you are using a translator, it might it can be used against you, since there is a time limit to answering some of the questions that will be in the trials. Next, so now that I talked about the 2 requirements, next we're going to be talking about how the combat portion of the exam is. The combat portion is the second portion of the exam, but it's good to know what is going to be talked about before. So for the combat portion, we're going to be limiting what you can use during it. So for Cloud, we're doing it in a way that you can't use your modes or your Genkais, meaning no C, no Z, and no V, B, and N movesets at all. You also cannot use companions or weapons acrobatic style, since these are weapons that you can get from scrolls. So anything that would require scroll for you to get is not allowed, ranging from weapons, subjutsus, and modes. So anything like that is not available. Even base mode is not available to use during the fight. So right now I would recommend fighting with basic element and taijutsu. I will be showing you what weapons you can use. The one weapon that you can use is the regular kunai, and you can use any pro bowls. Healing is not acceptable of any kind, so if you use health sims, you will literally be disqualified from the fight, because healing is really OP, especially with health sims that give you 100k of your health back. And just even with the healing jutsu, I know it's not something you get from a scroll, but it's still pretty overpowered, and healing is not fair to the overall tryout. Because we're not only looking at just pure combat ability, we're also looking at the tactics you use during the fight. Are you timing your movesets properly? Are you kind of playing around with the person? If you're making them act a certain way to get into your moveset, you're trapping them. One example would be your use of the element that you have. So for when there's the wind vortex, I know that some people do. I typically like to rush the person with WW, and then as I'm doing WW, I do my wind vortex. So as I get there, the wind vortex will already be ready to be channeled, and it will hit him. right in the middle, so like he doesn't really have time to counter that since I'm right in his face and stuff like that. So we're not just looking at combat ability, we're looking at, you know, how you think during the fight and how like you use your movesets. So I already mentioned that no weapons besides the ones that, you know, earned from scrolls, no subjutsus besides the ones that earned from scrolls. So meaning like what's it called, for a taijutsu you can use everything ranging from Leaf Whirlwind, Primary Lotus, but anything that along the lines of Blossom Spear or Thousand Years of Death, those are not allowed. So now that I talked about the combat portion, you will one more thing before we continue on. You will need, it will be like you will fight 3 fights with the instructor or the person holding the trials at that time. You won't be expected to win all of them. Again, we're looking at overall combat ability and how you use your elements during the fight. So next up we have the first portion of the exam, which is I won't necessarily call it a spec test, but it's just to like you know, find out who can follow orders somewhat, because there's 2 portions to this, which is the first and third. The first one is just basic one. The person holding the trials will get all the people lined up, and then once he has them lined up, he will ask them a few basic questions. You are expected to answer in full grammar, because if you don't, because we like do expect you to sort of use full grammar. You're expected to use full grammar, meaning periods and all that. It's really not that hard. It's just like if you're going to say something like yes sir, you're just going to be put yes sir. That's an example of like full grammar. You put the comma and then the period. That's an example of full grammar. So we're just gonna, and like if they ask you to leave, you're expected to leave from the trial. Most likely the one that's an instructor will probably be a moderator, probably like the Raikage or me myself, because we do have kick commands. So if you do get kicked, you will probably be blacklisted from the community if we have to resort to using the kick command on you. Or if you are not blacklisted, your chances of getting to CC will be extremely slim, because again, CC is not like RPG where there's no really law and order. You can really do whatever you want. You can spam whatever you want. CC is not like that. CC is more of a controlled Shinobi world with actual rules set in place. So we need people that will actually be able to follow them. So we don't want speds. So that's really it. And then the third portion, which is the faces and formation, faces and formations are pretty easy. So like regular faces and formation. So like this one tells you to do a left face. Left face is pretty much turning 90 degrees to the left, and right face is 90 degrees to the right. We're not gonna do things like left incline. That's like more advanced, which you'll be going over in like if you get into CC and you go to military police, you'll be probably learning those. But again, we're just doing basic things to look at people who can follow orders, and you know, people who can do them pretty fast. So I would recommend learning stuff like left face, right face, about face in your own time, because you will not be given instructions. We're just, you know, trying to look for people, even if you've never used it, we're trying to see if you're able to understand what they are and just see how fast people can react to like an order given. Because again, like a person who can't really follow orders isn't needed, especially like in wars. If you need to be, and especially if you're like a support type, and like you come in and then like you're given an instruction and you don't follow it, that is detrimental to like the overall war results. Like if you're like medical ninja and you need to heal somebody, that could have easily turned the tides, but you weren't able to because you were being sped and weren't listening, things like that. So we got to make sure that we have a process for that kind of weeds out the people that really aren't fit for CC, because CC is not for everyone, right? Because like CC isn't like RPG, like I mentioned before. It's not just running around lawless, bringing out modes like this. Like modes like this will not be in CC at all. Like 10 Tails will definitely not be in CC until like Akatsuki arcs. We divide our CC arcs into different stages. Right now we're in pre-Akatsuki, so this is like near the end of what's it called, before the time skip. So like around when Naruto, like just like probably like a month or so after Sasuke left in the show. So like it's just around that time for CC. And then like and then we're gonna go into like the time skip era and stuff like that, and then the next generation will be, you know, the Akatsuki arc, which will eventually come and stuff like that. So this is really it. This is all you really need to know to be able to, you know, try out for Cloud. I'm gonna read the rules again. Minimum of C2 in the ranks, being able to communicate in English without the translator, and for the rules for the combat portion, only elemental jutsus and taijutsu only. The use of consumables that are not found through the use of throwables that are not found through the use of the scrolls are allowed. So, you know, anything ranging from the regular kunai throw or just the Haku Senbons, those are allowed since you don't find those through scrolls. But things like, you know, the chakra rods, those are definitely not allowed. So I definitely do not recommend, you know, going for those or using them at all. So just make sure that you guys are ready, and like these tryouts are really not that hard. We're probably accepting less than 30 people for Cloud. I'm not sure for other villages. This is just to help you guys figure out, like, you know, just to help you guys prepare for the, you know, CC, especially for if you're going for the Cloud village. I'm just here to explain to you how you guys can easily get in, and like, you know, what to expect on the trials. The trials will probably be hosted later today or throughout the week. We need to figure out who's gonna host them because people are busy. People aren't able to, you know, like, you know, some people have school and exams are coming up for them, so they have to, like, you know, prepare for those. But everything will be through the Cloud Discord. I will put the link down in the description below. Anyways, guys, thank you for watching the video. If you enjoyed, don't forget to leave a like, comment, subscribe, and I'll see you guys next time.